Hello and welcome to the Future of Mining podcast. I'm your host, John Varson, and today we have with us
Sarah Weihmann
and Frank Chalier.
And where are you guys from? We're at Aachen University, but you're at a special institute, aren't you?
Yeah, we're here at the Repository Safety Institute, the chair of Repository Safety, right in the mining building of Aachen.
Oh, cool. And that's quite a kind of a different step from traditional mining, but you have a lot of things that are related, which I guess we're going to get into. But maybe you could first tell us about yourselves. Maybe Sarah, you can start. Ladies first, as they say.
Thank you. My name is Sarah Weihmann. I'm Dr. Sarah Weihmann. I have a PhD in geology, but I started my career in geosciences. So I started as a geographer and then evolved towards a geotechnologist, doing geophysics and petroleum geology. So actually, this is where I started off getting to know energy topics, and my interest in the subsurface grew with oil and gas. So I was looking at reservoirs. And now that I came here to Aachen, I actually started to explore the mining sector as well and to delve into the repository safety issues. So that means repositories for nuclear waste in specific.
Yeah, and Frank?
Yeah, I'm a mining engineer here from Aachen University. Studied several years ago here in Aachen, stayed here for my academic career, and now I'm deputy head of the chair of repository safety. And so final disposal is a good combination of geology and engineering topics, so that fits perfectly together for all the challenges we are facing.
Yeah, and so there's quite a few mining, mineral processes and those types of institutes here at the university, and it's quite complex. There's quite a lot of them, right? So where does your institute fit in that mix?
You're absolutely right. We do have a lot of mining institutes here in the mining building. For example, the AMT, Advanced Mining Technologies, with Professor Clausen. We have the MRE, Mineral Resource Engineering, with Professor Lottermoser, and the AMR, Advanced Mineral Processing Technologies, with Tobias Freds, Professor Freds, who you visited yesterday as well. And we're here at the chair of repository safety. So we do care about mining, but we also care about the geological part of the mining. So our chair of the institute is a professor in geology, and I myself am also a geoscientist, whereas Frank is a mining engineer.
Yeah. So you're combining all those bits in yourselves also. That's kind of cool, really.
In our expertise as well, exactly. Yeah, we have approaches from different sides and different views, which we then combine, which I think is a plus to actually, combine these.
Yeah. So perhaps you could explain a little bit about what facilities you have here at your institute. So you've got labs, or what do you have?
Yeah. So the research I specifically do, and I also guide students in it, is discrete fracture network modeling. So we look at the way how safe the subsurface is for a nuclear waste site. So we study the fractures in a rock or the faults in a rock and the flow of fluids, potentially contaminated fluids, in the subsurface.
Yeah, because it really needs to be very stable, doesn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. It needs to be stable and safe and tight and no flow properties if possible. Yeah. And we also, just to add on, we do have collaborations with the industry. So BGE and BASE specifically, we have placed a lot of students there for research projects and internships, but we also do master theses with them, and we facilitate the collaboration. So it's very easy to just come to us and speak about it, and we will find a topic of interest from both sides.
Great.
Yeah, and perhaps I can add another nice project where we work together with companies and another university from Aachen for applied science. And if you like, I can show a short video about that.
That would be cool.
Yeah. So what we see here is our project. That's a multi-platform vehicle for drone-based exploration and robot-controlled applications. You see here now live mapping for a digital twin. we built together with two companies these nice robust vehicle, added a robot, added a lot of monitoring tools, and also added a platform for the use of a drone, also to monitor in the deep underground cavities where we are not able or allowed to go with personnel.
Okay, that's cool. And so the drone can take off from it. Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah. You see here when our robust vehicle comes to an end and cannot proceed driving into the cavities, and then the drone can take over and monitor the surrounding.
Yeah, that's really cool. So that's a perfect segue to my next question, which is basically how are these experiments and research, how are they being transferred or transformed into kind of real world operational situations?
So especially this project is a perfect example. So we received some money from authorities, collaborate with, we have 4 partners, and the goal is that the companies develop new business cases with this collaboration, and that's
like
perfect,
for startups,
perfect match.
Are they for startups? Or are they for existing businesses?
No, for existing businesses.
Yeah, okay.
Only the not the large companies, the smaller ones.
Yeah, okay. So early stage companies.
Exactly.
And are you already seeing benefits coming from this research? Are they deriving some benefits from it?
The companies profit because they can develop a business case. We profit because we can take results to our lectures, and also our students benefit because we have a lot of bachelor theses, master theses, which given to the students. Students are
So it's already being transferred. The research is already being transferred into real world operational improvement.
Exactly.
That's amazing. What constraints do you have today, and are you planning on developing the technology that you just showed us further, or is that a constraint?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe one of the constraints that we should mention is that access to mines is limited. So we would only have a group of maybe 12 people, maybe 13 to take down at one time. So our excursions are very popular, and we can only allow a certain number of students to participate. So that would be...
So there must be great demand then for students,
Absolutely, we do have an overflow of interested students to join, and we try to do this as fairly as possible, and have started separating the groups. So originally we actually offered to visit 2 mines in one excursion, and now we cut it down to 1 mine per excursion. So more students can participate actually and have the experience of what it's like to be in a mine.
And what sort of knowledge do they gain when they go into a real world environment like that? What do they gain that they don't gain in a classroom environment or a lecture hall?
Well, this depends very much on the previous studies they've done, because most of the students have never been subsurface in a mine at like 1,000 meters, maybe 750, 800. So they gain an idea of what it's like, what the climate is like, what the surroundings are like, how they can, how comfortable they feel in the area, what kind of works are done subsurface, and what geology really means, which is obviously very important to me, that they understand what a rock looks like and what a mine looks like, and what it feels like to have 700-meter overburden, and also how waste could be stored. Like, what does it mean to build barriers for the waste? Yeah, so
they get an idea of the physical constraints of the environment and kind of their reality on it. I know when we take EMC students, the European Mining course, when we take the students, we have a northern excursion, we go to a bunch of mines, and there we typically go a couple of times, a kilometre underground, and it really gives kind of a different view of this kind of real world situation of what material is required, how, what equipment was required, how long it takes just to get from the surface to the face of the activity. And you can't get that in the classroom.
Yeah, exactly.
So now let's pivot towards this collaboration that the university has with industry. You mentioned it already a little bit, but if a student is thinking about building their career in this industry, how does that best fit with doing this program and linking their study with kind of a future job in the industry?
So at our specialization, repository safety, have excellent opportunities to get in contact to the companies. They can have field trips, they have internships, they can do the master thesis for the whole semester. So when they they can plan to at least stay one year at a company, and so students can learn a lot about the company, about the challenges, and also the companies can learn more about the students. And we have excellent job opportunities in the next decades in this field of repository safety. Though they like it, and the companies like it too. We have a good response from the companies that our students in our master course are really highly motivated and good people.
Yeah, so I often talk about how education and research projects are the link or the gateway to industry. Do you think that's the same for your institute?
Yeah, 100%. I would say 100%. It's super important to get these links established early in your degree already, and we get very positive feedback from the companies, which is very important to us, that we send students that represent our degree or that represent the mining culture as well very well.
Yeah.
And so far it's always been a fruitful and positive collaboration.
No, fantastic.
That might also lead to jobs. We have not experienced that because our cohort has not been post-master thesis yet.
They're still getting there.
Yeah, we're still waiting for that feedback,
Yeah.
how quickly they get into the industry once they finish their degrees.
The first student who finished the course, where we catched her, and she's now a PhD student at our
Okay, so you kept her. She was too good, so you kept her. But this this topic actually links perfectly with a concern that a lot of students face. They worry that their thesis or their lab work doesn't or won't have a connection to a kind of a real world situation or an industrial need. But you're making that connection really strong with thesis projects and so forth. So what advice would you give to a student when they're picking their thesis project and making sure that it's relevant for kind of the industry or the industrial need for the future?
Yeah, so we appreciate if the students actually come up with topics that they find interesting, because that kind of makes sure that they're really behind their thesis and that they're keen to study the subject. And so we appreciate if they actually go through their lectures and kind of find a topic that they take personal interest in. However, we're in constant communication with the mentioned companies, so we do know what kind of research they're doing right now and what's urgent for them and where they need support. And they really appreciate, in this case also free support through universities. So they can always come to us, the students, and investigate with us what the latest topics are and what is currently in need to be researched. And that's how they can make sure that they do very applied subjects and topics.
Yeah, so they look for something that they're passionate about specifically, and then looking for kind of a connection, a direct connection to industry.
Yeah, exactly. Right. We think that's paramount for the success of any project. Yeah.
So one of the last topics I wanted to discuss was how the traditional perceptions of nuclear energy and by extension the extraction of radioactive critical raw materials is slowly changing. How is the department shifting the narrative towards nuclear as being necessary, smarter, and more ecologically or environmentally conscious?
Maybe I can take that question. So I think the chair of repository safety mainly focuses actually on repositories for nuclear waste.
Yeah.
So we do deal with how to dispose of waste and how to do that safely for future generations.
Yeah.
Not so much do we target the life cycle of uranium fuels and energy. So
No, but in my,
say-
maybe I'm naive about it, but I think that most people's concern about nuclear energy is the waste.
Uh-huh.
So they always think, okay, the low energy price is great. We've got a nuclear reactor there. They don't think that the nuclear reactor is working. They don't worry about that, but they do worry about all the waste.
Uh-huh. Well,
So there, I think actually the perception and changing the kind of and enabling of the social license to operate of the nuclear power plant is actually about managing the story about waste.
Uh-huh. Personally, I've not really experienced it that way. I think most people forget about the waste. They do worry about a nuclear power plant and they don't want that in their backyard or anywhere near them, and they worry about the radiation during the energy process, but they do forget about the waste that accumulated in the end. Yeah. And I think that is in my point of view, the most important part, because that differentiates a sustainable energy from a non-sustainable energy. Yeah. If you don't know what to do with the toxic waste in the end,
so how do we tell the public about that? How do we inform them that there's all this work going on and a lot of science going on to make sure that that waste becomes safe for, not only for generations but for thousands of years or millions of years?
Yeah. So, for example, the base has created an exhibition that they have presented in several main spots in Germany. So, for example, in the main train station in Berlin. We've also had that exhibition right here in front of our institute. So it's a large 10 by 10 meter exhibition, bright yellow with lots of material that you can look at, and little games that you can play on
things
screens.
You can get your hands on like this.
Exactly, yes. And that's how we try to involve the students, but also the public in the topic of waste management, nuclear waste management.
Yeah, perhaps I think people, when you talk about nuclear waste, the people who are against a repository came into the game when the authorities announced the regions, which region or which host rock is good and which region is a potential site to host a repository. Until this announcement, I think 99% of the population do not care about the waste. They care about the nuclear power plant, and the waste comes in the game later.
What's your message for students who care about the climate, sustainability, and or innovation, who might be considering this branch of work for their career?
Yeah, so I think if you care about sustainability and innovation, this is the career for you, because no matter how you feel about nuclear power, if you're in favor or against it, it's the sad truth that there is a huge amount of nuclear toxic waste generated through nuclear power, and this needs to be dealt with. And especially in Germany, we're at a stage where there will be no further nuclear waste produced. So we do need to think about and find a suitable space to store this waste or to deal with this space. Yeah. And
it's going to be jobs for the long term, right?
Exactly. This is your chance to get involved and to make a difference and to do something for the climate.
Yeah, good. Another critical aspect about the nuclear industry, just like the mining industry, is the social license to operate. This not in my backyard philosophy that we talked about before when Frank was mentioning it. Perhaps you could give us some insights into how the research that you guys are conducting and your program, and how it will enable transparency, community trust, and help gain this social license to operate.
Yeah, I think our whole community is thinking about transporting our results of our research and our goals to the people. So we have to learn when we do research and discuss our results with colleagues to translate it in the language and in a transparent and good way to get in contact and to discuss with the people. And our goal is, our chair is the chair of repository safety. So safety is our overall goal.
It's critical,
whatever we do, and we are convinced that we can build a repository safely. And now we have to find a way where we can explain to the people how we do it, and that we do not convince people. We want to talk to the people, explain what we do, and when they feel better after the conversation and happy with our work, that's would be that's a challenge. That's a goal we have.
Yeah, that is the challenge. So normally I ask my guest what they think is the future of mining, but perhaps a better question is, what do you think about the future of, I don't want to say nuclear waste all the time, but securing the energy consumption of the past into the future?
Good question. I think every country will decide individually about their energy mix. So in Germany, we decided to phase out of nuclear power. We phased out of burning coal. So we want renewables. But we see also that our neighbors have different approaches. So in France we have 60% of nuclear power, US, China, other countries deal with nuclear power and will still build new power plants. So for Germany we have a lot to do, because we have already a lot of waste, but we also have a look at our colleagues in the other countries. They need to build the repositories too, and they need to handle the new generations of waste, because the scientists think about new reactor concepts too. So we are always open-minded to look at the world, what's going on.
So a good career path for students, if they're thinking about an area to study in, they can get a good career for the future in this field, right?
Yeah, I do think it's a bright future, because the mining part is yet to come in repository safety. Yeah. First, we've been dealing with the site selection process, and we're still at it, and that is all encompassed in phase 1 of the process, and phase 2 and 3 will actually be the parts where mining comes into play, where there will be site investigations and then obviously also site building. So this will be decades of future work for our students.
Or probably hundreds of years for the next generations, long after we've gone. But RWTH and its partners are actually helping to collectively accelerate this transformation into cleaner, smarter, and more sustainable future. Would you agree with that, or?
I agree. Yeah, definitely. Especially our faculty cares about these topics, so we're going forward.
And you're part of that mix.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you, Sarah and Frank, for sharing your insights, and I really appreciate the time that you've given us, and I enjoyed our conversation. And I hope our audience has also enjoyed this conversation. If you're looking for more of this type of discussion, please give us a like, and don't forget to hit subscribe. And thank you once again for all you've done, and until next time.
Thank you.
See you.